Good morning. It is very early for me. I'm not used to getting up early, but I had so many meetings today and I knew I had to shower and look presentable. So here I am. What I was actually going to get on about is something completely different than what I'm actually going to start this video off on. I get messages from spirit in the oddest times. For me personally, I find that I get messages and I sometimes like automatically channel when I'm not even trying it. It just comes in. For me, I find this is the way it is. If I try, I block myself because I'm trying too hard or I have too many expectations of myself or I feel like I'm trying to perform and then I block myself. So I'm just going to start honoring the way my process works, and I'm going to start probably journaling every time something comes in because it comes in at the most strange and odd times. For me, I know water is absolutely a conduit. It has to be moving water. I found that out too. So anytime I'm doing the dishes or getting a shower, or if I go to a place where there's even a slight waterfall, moving water, I can start getting messages through that energy and I can tap into that energy. I have yet to try fire. I don't seem to really connect to wind and I don't really connect to earth as much, but I can, depending on how I'm doing physically, emotionally, mentally. But water is always a go-to. It never fails me. This morning, though, oddly, the messages came flooding in as I was doing my hair. And I was watching a movie, actually. I was watching the movie Ophelia. And it's funny to me because I wasn't really even seeking any information. I wasn't actively attempting to channel. It just started coming in. And this is what happens sometimes. And basically, I was told, and I think I kind of knew this already, and I think I may have discussed this in the past on my old page, where no, we were not Isis in a previous life. We were not Ophelia in a previous life. We were not Thoth in a previous life. And this is what happens in these spiritual communities where, and I've been there too. As a newbie, for a long time, I'm like, oh, I must have been Thoth in a previous life, or I must have known him or something. And is it possible that maybe in a previous life I was Egyptian and I studied under Thoth? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you think of we are all one, we're all swimming in the same pool of light and energy. Technically, we are everyone. Technically, if you look at it that way. And that's what's mind-blowing. We could be every single person that has ever walked or been on this earth, just experiencing. I mean, that's kind of what it is. We're all just splinters of each other, of source. We're all splinters of source. But really what it's about is, and this is kind of how I got into exploring this before. Well, so and so can't say that they were Isis in a previous life if this person over here is saying they were Isis in a previous life, and that person over there says they were Isis in a previous life. No, they weren't actually Isis in a previous life, but they are embodying the archetype of Isis in the current life. And they probably have in previous lifetimes too, or maybe they were even present during Isis times or while she was present. But it's really about embodying that energy and embodying that archetype. So the message I got while I was watching Ophelia this morning came in really fast, and it was And I don't even know who was saying it or where it was coming from, but they were saying that and I think one of my friends actually resonates with Ophelia, if I remember correctly, but I can't remember who. May have to figure that one out. But it was just because I was watching the movie, and my guides were saying that those who resonate with Ophelia, and they started giving me these other examples like Isis and Thoth and Metatron and whoever you resonate with, it's not that you are resonating with that actual person because you were them. You are resonating with it because you are resonating with the archetype and the energy behind it. So those who resonate with Ophelia have experienced either in one lifetime, in a similar lifetime in that timeline, or in many previous lifetimes of losing a loved one through tragedy and having to walk away from a loved one, knowing that you were going to lose them. And this archetype and this energy signature is still occurring today in modern time, just through different means and different people. And you could really call it the Ophelia energy signature or the Ophelia archetype. And I think that there are so many different archetypes and energy signatures that we are all meant to experience through different lifetimes, and it helps our souls grow. And so we've all experienced these things in the past. And the thing is, we carry that energy with us at all times. It's in our DNA, our etheric DNA, and it makes up part of who we are. And even though we can't exactly remember the details of our past lives, we still feel it in our souls in the current life. And that's why we find ourselves getting attached to these archetypes and feeling a deep emotional connection to them. So I do caution when you're newer on the path to be careful of that misconception of, oh yes, I was Isis in a previous life, or I was Ophelia in a previous life. Is it possible? Of course it is. But what I really think it is that energy signature and that archetype being born again and again and again and again. And it's just a splinter of the original, if that makes sense. What I originally wanted to get on about, though, actually was, I do want to thank those of you that reached out about the bullying video. And I had to wonder, why does this dynamic keep happening with me where no one will comment on the actual post or the actual video? And I was looking at how many views, and I think I was well over 100 now. But no interaction, and that's fine. I don't need that. I don't need that validation. But it also makes me question, like, why don't we interact more on the page, and why don't we put these comments on the page? Because I'm always trying to push people to do that so that we can share and help each other out. I realize for me, it's really easy to share, and not everybody has that ability or that openness to do that. And I need to accept that and understand that as well, that it's hard for others to do that. The other thing that I was realizing is that so many people have been bullied, especially online, that they're afraid to put stuff out there because you're afraid of the backlash you're going to get for putting something there, or you're afraid people are going to see you the wrong way or take you the wrong way and misunderstand you if you write something. And I'm seeing that more and more every day. And I believe there are two reasons why people are less and less active on Facebook or social media in general. Well, one, Facebook, yeah, a lot of people are just sick of it because we're realizing and seeing the censorship now. and the agenda. But two, that's probably going to get me kicked off now. But two, also COVID, someone had pointed out to me the other day that perhaps there's less interaction because everybody's just sick of being on their phones and being on their computers. We all want to be outside. We all have cabin fever. And so, yeah, there's less interaction because I can even go to some of my biggest people that I follow, and they've got a couple thousand followers, and they only have like 100 comments on their videos. So it is what it is. But I think the other reason there's not much interaction is people are just not as open to share feelings online. And I had such an aha moment with one of my friends last night. Well, actually, with two of my friends. I've been having so many aha moments, guys. Like, I have had so much growth within the past 3 weeks alone. And it's because I have such freaking amazing people in my life right now. And see, I'm even getting teary-eyed because I'm that grateful. I'm that freaking grateful. It has been a long time coming, let me tell you. Let me tell you. I'm so grateful to have these people in my life because they're helping me grow. They're pointing things out to me, but they're doing it in a loving way. They are not coming from a place of judgment. I mean, how many of us are empaths? You can feel when something is genuine and coming from someone's heart versus when someone is telling you something and covertly judging you underneath at the same time. And I found good people. I found good people. And I found a lot of good people along the way, but it was just something where we'd never clicked enough to spend a lot of time together. So in this instance, it's clicking and we're sticking together and we're helping each other. And these conversations, every single one of them, every conversation with each person brings so much enlightenment and healing. And my God, I keep going off. I'm just that grateful. Obviously you can tell. Anywho, so this conversation was me being frustrated by a repeating pattern I have in my life of constantly being told by others what I should or should not post on Facebook and how I offend others, how I trigger others, and how it is somehow an issue when I speak my just being me on Facebook, just doing this. And let me tell you, it hurts. It hurts when people try to censor or silence you or try to make you be someone you're not. And it happened again yesterday, or I thought it did. But it also brought up an old wound that obviously was still not healed, because as soon as this topic came up again, all those emotions and feelings came rushing back. And it affected me all day long. And I'm just like, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of it. Is this even mine to carry? Because I am fine with what I put out there. I am fine with how I present myself. I don't think anything I say or do online is harmful to anybody. Maybe at one time I was a little fiery when I was more of a conspiracy theorist. And I do know at one point, my frustration with others trying to silence me did come out online, because it was like I was mirroring back what I was getting, and it wasn't pretty. And I wish I could take that back, but that's just a lesson of the path and what I had to experience to come into my own boundaries and to understand what was mine, what wasn't. But I was saying to my friend last night, I'm like, I don't understand why this keeps happening. I want it to stop, but I really feel if I dig deep and I really go within, I really don't feel like this is mine. I really don't. And I am definitely the type of person that looks at myself constantly and how I play a role in everything. And I do feel like I have a lot of self-awareness. I would hope. I hope I am. Um, I hope I'm self-aware. And I think sometimes I blame myself when I shouldn't. I think I do that as well. And I think that's what I was doing in this situation where I was taking on a lot of this blame and shame, and it wasn't mine to carry. And I've been carrying that for years. And she had even said, she's like, you trigger people because you talk about your feelings. And there are a lot of people out in the world that don't feel like it's appropriate for you to do that on Facebook. And I thought, oh, wow, okay. Is that what's going on? Because I have always said from day one that I believe in the vulnerability movement. And I believe that being open and being honest and sharing that with the world is what will allow others to do the same. And she had also said, well, you have to keep in mind that every time someone new comes on your wall, they don't know that. They haven't been with you from the beginning. They haven't seen you years ago when you talked about vulnerability a lot more, when you talked about your mission and what your purpose was. So I was assuming that people that were new on my wall knew this. And so every time I get a new influx of new people on my wall, I get a lot of newer energy that isn't aware of my personality, because my online personality and my offline personality are a little different. Well, they're a lot different because I can express myself much differently online than I do in a group. Um, and that's just my introversion ways. But at the core, at the soul level, I'm still the same person. And so I would get not only an influx of new people coming in, it didn't really matter if they were new on the spiritual path or older on the spiritual path. They still didn't know who I was at my core. They didn't understand my purpose. But definitely even the newer people coming in who are new on the path, they're still, and this is no blame, shame, finger pointing or anything, but it is what it is. People who are newer on the path are still very much in their egos and still very much offended by others. And if they aren't healed enough yet in their own emotional expression, of course I'm going to trigger them. Of course I'm going to completely send them off the rails if they're not the type of person that's connected to their own emotions. And especially if they're the type of person to not share their emotions. So what I learned through our conversation was it's really okay. It doesn't matter. You can be someone online who doesn't want to share their emotions and experiences, or you can be me. You can be the type of person that wants to get online and share everything. There is no right or wrong. So, and in the ultimate end of everything, does it really matter what anyone says on Facebook? It's your space. You're allowed to say whatever you want. And would I go to someone's doorbell and ring their doorbell and say, walk in and start telling them what to do and what they're allowed to say in their own home? Heck no, I'd kick my own ass. So we can't expect to do that online either. And please know, this is not about anybody specifically. It's not. This is a wound that I have been working on my whole life, but it has repeated the pattern over and over and over again since I have become an online business, which was way back in, 2015, I think is when I started my first business. So please don't email me and ask me if this is about anyone. It's not. And that's actually got to stop too. That's something another friend and I had a conversation about, is the pot stirrers and the people who bring in drama, because that was another thing I was questioning. Why does this pattern keep showing up in my life? I purposely stay out of drama. I purposely stay out of that stuff because I don't want involved. I've got enough going on in my life. I don't need 8th grade stuff going on. So I'm like, why does this keep coming into my life? And she quickly pointed out, I have pot stirrers in my life who bring stuff to me that I honestly don't even want to know. And so if I do a video about somebody and you think it's about someone, well, that's on you, because I'm never going to be that person that gets on here and does a video because somebody else triggered me. I may have in the past because I was unhealed in that aspect, but this is more about me. This is about me and the healing that I'm going through. And the healing that I'm going through right now was not caused by one person. It was caused by many through over many years. So yeah, we don't need to go there. And I'm actually asking that people stop doing that, texting me or emailing me, asking me if my video is about someone, because I'll tell you right now, no, it wasn't. So I want to nip that in the bud right now. And I'm actually going to be creating boundaries around that in the future. When I get emails or texts like that, I'm not even going to respond, because I'm really trying to hone in on the energy I allow around myself and what I allow myself to get pulled into, if that makes sense. But I wanted to share one final thing that was so hilarious. My friend and I were laughing so hard last night, and she said it perfectly, because I kept saying, oh, people don't like me sharing my feelings? Really? And I'm sitting there completely flabbergasted. Like, this never occurred to me before. I'm having so many simple aha moments this week that I'm like, duh, Angie. But it's like been in my face the whole time, and I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. But she says, this is how I see you, Angie. You're like, look, check it out. Here are my feelings. Stop telling me to not post my feelings. That gives me feelings. And by the way, everyone has feelings, and people are like, what is happening to me? I think I have feelings. Stop, go away. And I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what's happening. So it's like we're playing off of each other, where I'm getting online and I'm talking about my feelings. That triggers other people who don't like that I share my feelings, who then tell me to stop sharing my feelings, which then gives me even more feelings of, being hurt and being upset and being censored and silenced. And then I get on and I talk about it, which is even more feelings. And then what I'm actually doing is triggering people to have their own feelings. And then they just want me to go away from them because I'm triggering emotions. And I trigger people who need to work on their emotions, or who don't like sharing emotions. So it made so much sense. It helped me heal this pattern that I've been seeing in my life. And no, it's not mine to carry. It never has been. And do I have to be more careful of what I say online? Absolutely. And I think at that time, a lot of what was coming out of my mouth was hurt, because people were trying to silence me and babysit me and tell me what I should and should not say. And, you know, you take that times 20 people. Of course, I was reacting, but I should have done a better job of responding and not reacting. But in the end, the ultimate end, I know how to fix this so it does not become a repeating pattern in the future. That is it for me for the day. I hope you guys are doing well. I know this was kind of like two-sided, but I wanted to get both messages out. I guess the final thing is, you know, just understanding how energy works, how it all recycles, and just giving each other grace. I really think that's the big one. So I'm sure I will be on soon enough, but I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will chat with you soon. Bye.